As a man, we need to have strategic focus and know exactly what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. If you don't know where you're going, then you're going to be easily distracted when the first girl shows you some interest and wants to sleep with you. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I want to talk about why focusing on women is holding you back from being successful as a man. Now, this is not to down relationships. If you're in a relationship, that's a good thing. There are pros to being in relationships. But for this message, this is not to go over why relationships are beneficial. This is more so to show you why not being in one as a man is beneficial. And jumping into it, when I look back on my experience of being in relationships versus being single, I realized that every time that I was in a relationship, it was tricking my mind into being complacent and thinking as if I had won some type of prize or if I had somehow arrived at the final destination. Relationships, although there can be value to those, 9 times out of 10 for a man that doesn't have everything else in order first, such as your fitness, such as your career or your finances. If you don't have, your fitness, your finances, and your character in place, you're going to be lost in a relationship. And you're not going to know how to run a relationship successfully as being what God has ordained as you being the lead in that relationship. So when you're going through a single phase, this is not to give you permission to go and screw every single girl that's out there or go into what we call a hoe phase. No, because that's not beneficial. As a man, we need to have strategic focus and know exactly what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. If you don't know where you're going, then you're going to be easily distracted when the first girl shows you some interest and wants to sleep with you. The goal shouldn't be to sleep with as many women as possible. The goal as a man should be so solid and so stoic that when you receive money or when you receive that car, that home, that beautiful woman, that even if one of those things were to be removed, you still have one thing that cannot be removed, and that is your character. You have to focus internally on building yourself. Every time that I was in a relationship and I sat back and made the relationship the number one focus, 9 times out of 10, that relationship did not last, because women were meant to follow behind strong leadership. Majority of the women would say that they would want a man to take care of any emergency, to take care of their living conditions. So if a woman comes and sits there and tell you that, oh, I'm not following behind a man, then again, she's not operating based on how God has designed a relationship to be. We're meant to protect. We're meant to lead. There's no questions around that. That's why our journey is 10 times harder than a woman. And that's why we can't sit here as men and complain about wanting to go to work. See, I don't care if you have to work one job or if you have to work 4. If you're working 4 jobs, that's nothing to brag about. That's what you should be doing. Because the alternative is being homeless underneath a bridge. There's a reason why you don't see many women homeless, but you'll see many men homeless. See, a woman can easily get on her feet. A woman can easily find assistance, government assistance, to get on her feet. Whereas a man, it is designed by society that we are supposed to be able to provide and take care of. We have a certain innate strength about ourselves that we should deploy to be successful and to prevent ourselves from being on the streets. So focusing on building your character, focusing on developing some type of trade or skill set, it should consume your life. If you are in a relationship where a woman doesn't understand that, then it's best for you to be single than for you to hurt that person or come across as appearing to be selfish. Because being successful is a selfish game. You can't take care of yourself until you learn how. You can't take care of others, until you learn how to take care of yourself. I can't take care of my son unless I'm able to take care of myself and show him what it's like to be a man. Show him that he can acquire, an exotic car. He can have a big home. I first have to show him that for him to believe that. Continue praising the opportunity of being single if you are truly single. Being single and fooling around is destroying every opportunity you have to be successful as a man, because it's simply a distraction. Anything that feels good and is not pushing you forward with beefing up your bank account, having a good strong mental, having security, is a distraction. You must realize this. If you're in your 20s, you definitely need to realize this, because you're probably going to fool yourself into thinking that you have all the time in the world to get it right. And if I can go back in time, I'll tell you right now, I wish I would have did my 20s a little bit different. I wish I would have did my 20s a little bit different. But here I am. I'm still achieving the goals and things that I need to. So I'm not complaining about that. But if I had that time, I definitely would have did things differently. Excuse me. So don't squander over your single days, your single phase. Stay focused on, what is it that you really want to achieve? What is it that you want to be? Give yourself 10 years to accomplish that. If everybody else is going out, stay behind. Focus on what you really need to do to get to that point. That's what I'm doing now at a later age in my life. And I'm seeing the fruits of my labor. God, it feels good to be able to have 2 paid for cars. God, it feels good to be able to provide for my son. God, it feels good to know that I can be in a meaningful relationship when the time comes. God, it feels good to know that out of all of that stuff, if all of that stuff was to disappear, I can redo it over again, because I took the time to work internally on myself and rebuild myself first before getting any of the other stuff. I didn't chase after money. I chased after building myself and becoming the person that I knew I was capable of becoming. And you can do the same thing too, guys. So focus on that.